But as I said, China at this point is rattled, is warning the United States of dire consequences. Let's listen in.
It is not uncommon for congressional leaders to travel to Taiwan. It is very much in keeping with our policy. We shouldn't be, as a country, we shouldn't be intimidated by that rhetoric or those potential actions. This is an important trip for the Speaker to be on, and we're going to do whatever we can to support her.
China has on many occasions made it clear our position on this, and we have made serious demarches to the U.S. side. We are also closely following the itinerary of Speaker Pelosi, and if the U.S. continues down the wrong path, we will take strong and resolute measures to ensure our sovereignty and security interests.
I believe Andrew is also now back with us. Andrew, if you could hear me this time around, essentially I was trying to first set things up to understand that we've always known the position of Nancy Pelosi vis-a-vis Beijing has been a staunch critic as far as China is concerned. Why is this visit so crucial for her?
Actually, there is no reason to believe that the visit is crucial for her. Very poor sound, sorry.
Okay, we'll just try and fix that audio with Andrew. But Roger, if I could take the other set of aspects that I want to understand from you. As I said, right now we're seeing a lot of parallel developments. There are warnings that are coming from China. We're seeing some sort of display that we are seeing of warships on one hand. But as of now, many experts feeling that this is just mind games. This is flexing of muscles or show of strength as far as Beijing is concerned. As we were discussing earlier, is there a real possibility that things could go beyond this?
Well, I think there will be some military events taking place. It's likely that China will try to test the defense capacity and capabilities and, the collaboration between US and Taiwan by the following things. First, it's likely that they will be aiming the offshore islands, which is closer to China than Taiwan, and launch some kind of mini-scale military intervention or even invasion by sending their military troops over these kind of islands and stay there for several hours and withdraw. And by doing that, actually, they can test the determination of the US and Taiwan to see whether they are really serious of defending these islands. Because the US will then be in a difficult situation because US want to defend Taiwan. But if some other smaller islands of under the Taiwanese control got attacked, or even not attacked, but it's touched upon by the Chinese forces, well, the US will be facing a hard choice whether to how to respond to that. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that the Chinese will be using the business wars. For now, well, it just happened like 1 hour before. China has made an announcement that they will start to ban the importation of 3,000 Taiwanese goods. Like these are the majority of goods that Taiwan has been exporting to China.
Which also makes us wonder, Roger, at this point, that will these actions be just in terms of economic sanctions as of now? Will we actually see some sort of military action as well? But I request you to stay on with us. Now that we've established what is the kind of history that Nancy Pelosi has vis-a-vis her views on China, it is also important to understand what is the position of the United States. Even as China is warning of dire consequences, warnings within, voices within the United States are also divided at this point. On one hand, you have Antony Blinken, who's actually quoted past precedents, but that's compared to a very opposite voice that we've heard from President Joe Biden, who in fact has said the military thinks it's not a good idea. We'll just break down those details in just a bit, but I quickly first want to go across our colleague from CNN, Will Ripley, I believe, is joining us live from Taiwan. Will, we appreciate you taking our time and joining us here. Under an hour is what we are understanding for Nancy Pelosi to arrive in Taiwan. What are the details that you're picking up? What is that expected time of arrival?
So this is an interesting little, bet that we all have, a running bet. What time is she going to land? Which plane is she on? It could happen within the next hour or the next hour and a half or 2 hours. But we basically have to just look at flight tracker, flights that left Malaysia, and try to estimate when they're going to, land, and hope that that's the plane that Nancy Pelosi's on, and have a camera at the airport to see if it is indeed a military aircraft as expected. We do know that she will be arriving at some point in these later evening hours. So I would say within the next hour or two, we do expect to have Nancy Pelosi on the ground here. She'll be going basically straight to her hotel in Taipei. She'll be overnighting there, and then presumably meetings will start normal time in the morning. Will she go meet with members of parliament? Will she meet with, she certainly, I would imagine, will meet with Taiwan's president, Tsai Ing-wen. She will, depending on how long she's going to be on the ground here, she could have a working lunch with various officials. She could meet with local businesses. TSMC, the semiconductor manufacturer, they always like to talk to U.S. lawmakers when they come, because the chip industry here in Taiwan is its single most important industry, and not just for Taiwan, but for the whole world in terms of powering all of our devices. So we actually, we really don't know any of her official itinerary, because this trip, the trip that everybody's talking about, still not listed as an official stop. But we do know it's happening, and it gets all kicking off next hour or so, 2 hours.
Absolutely. As I said when I started the show as well, there has been a lot of suspense and mystery around this expected visit. It's not part of the official itinerary as far as Nancy Pelosi is concerned. But what are the voices that you're picking up as far as Taiwan's reaction is concerned? We haven't seen an official confirmation from them either.
Yeah, and Taiwan is a government, probably the most transparent government I have ever covered. They put out press releases, they put out tweets. They're and especially when it comes to issues with China, they respond very quickly. Whether it's the Ministry of Defense, reporting warplanes from China crossing into this self-defense identification zone, or whether it's the Ministry of Foreign Affairs with some sort of a retort to something that China said. I've never seen them this quiet as they are today. And it seems to be a deliberate strategy from the presidential office on down. There must be some sort of guidance telling people to just keep a low profile. Don't do or say anything on any platform that could make Beijing blame Taipei for this trip more than they already probably will do anyway. Don't say anything to give China and Xi Jinping an excuse to do something really drastic here that could be really terrible. And it's not necessarily just a military type of action, but what if all of a sudden Taiwanese exports by the hundreds or thousands are banned in China? I mean, China is Taiwan's biggest export partner. Just by nature of the fact that they speak the same language, it's 100 miles of water that separate them. The economic relationship between the island and the mainland is very, very much intertwined. And so the economy could really struggle and suffer if this thing gets, if this thing escalates. And of course, if there was some sort of military, which is not expected. We're not seeing any sort of military buildup. We see propaganda. We hear harsh language. To me, that's par for the course. That's pretty boilerplate. What would make me nervous is if we start to see, more ships and other types of planes assembling, and we're not seeing anything out of the ordinary.
Well, quickly, I also want